Hey, we're talking today about how to be a happier person. I love that science is finally caught up with this. I love that that society is finally catching up with this idea that true success is not success unless you're happy. And I know so many people who are successful, but yet they're miserable, they're discontent, they're angry, they're frustrated, they are not happy. I don't think they're successful. I don't know where you're at right now, but we're going to talk today about how to be a happier person. Yes, it's something you can do. Yes, you have the power and the ability to do it. And we're going to talk about that now. All right, welcome to Tactical Beliefs and Core Stories. What this show is about how you can choose your belief system because it absolutely matters. And I changed the name recently from strategic beliefs to tactical beliefs because you really have to be really specific about what you want to get out of life. And then the core stories part, that's about our identity. That's about who we tell ourselves we are. And these stories that we tell ourselves about ourselves, that ends up kind of keeping us in a repeated fail pattern or these invisible turnstiles. It keeps us stuck, or if you are very strategic and tactical about your beliefs, it can be something that can really lift you and get you somewhere. I hope that makes sense to you. Today, we're talking about happiness. Can you really be a happier person, and how do you do that? Now, first of all, I want to start off with a myth that you have probably bought into because it's all over society. And that is that you either have something or you don't. For instance, think about athletic people. You're either an athlete or you're not. Or you're athletic or you're not. Or think about people who are musically inclined. You either have the gift or you don't. Yeah, you could work at it, but there are those people who are just naturally gifted, and those are the ones that are really going to take off, right? Think about people who excel in academics. They're really good at school, and it comes easy for them. And then other people, they just have to struggle and work and study all the time, and for them, school is hard. Well, now think about optimists. Is that something that you are either born an optimist or not? Society would have you tell you that, yeah, it has to be this naturally ingrained thing. There are people that are who are just naturally optimistic. They are naturally happy, and naturally, yeah, everything goes right for them. And then there's the rest of us. Well, I want to tell you that that is completely untrue, and you have the ability right now with whatever gifts, whatever talents, whatever personality traits you have been given, you have the opportunity to change that, to be an optimist and to be a happier person in whatever circumstance you find yourself in. In just whatever is going on in your life. You don't have to wait for things to change and to be more fortunate for you to feel happier. I really think this should be taught in school. And I got to tell you, just a little bit. Okay, I'll tell you about a guy who complained all the time. He was so angry and frustrated. He was always in his own head. And he had this guy that would come from another state. He worked at this kind of multinational company. And when this guy would come from another state, they'd get together and this guy would just complain. He'd complain about the budgets. He'd complain about the clients. He would complain about the management or the mismanagement. He complained about everything because he saw things were not the way they should be. And it frustrated him and angered him. And he just spent all of his time so focused on what was going wrong. And whenever his friend came in town, I'm sure he just hated to get together with this guy. He liked him, but he was so negative all the time and just so mired down with down in the muck, in the mud, and the horrible stuff of life. Well, I got to tell you, I have successfully gotten rid of that person. That was me. I was so focused on everything that was going wrong in my life that more things went wrong. Things started to fall apart. My life started to fall apart. I was so focused on negativity that it was ruining my life. It was ruining my health. It was ruining my relationships, especially my relationships at home with my children and with my wife. My wife thought that she was the problem. She could tell I was angry and frustrated, and she took it on herself and thought she was the cause of that. Horrible, horrible things. I was so fortunate to have been pulled out of that right in the nick of time, just on the brink, and have found that happiness is a skill. I know a lot of people tell you choose happiness, and that's all well and good, but you got to understand first, happiness is a skill. It's like learning to play the piano or learning to dribble a basketball between your legs or learning to play the guitar or the violin or something that requires repetition and consistency and intensity to get good at. And that is what happiness is too. It's a set of skills that when you have these and you work at it and you practice, you can be really good at, and you can be an optimist. And you can be as naturally optimistic as the people who were just born that way. I hope that makes sense to you. I hope you recognize that you have more control over your life than you think. If you want to be a happier person, you absolutely can, and nothing else needs to change in your life. None of your circumstances need to change. Your job doesn't need to change. Your husband or spouse doesn't need to change. All you need to do is change what you focus on. So I've done a few things. I created a book. I've created a book. What is that? The 7 Core Skills of Everyday Happiness. I wrote a book, Feed Your Happy. I created a course, Get Happy Now, to help people to get these skills in their lives. And I'm going to share with you 3 of those skills. There were 7 core skills that will help people. But I'll share with you the 3. Now the first one, and these are things that you can absolutely do right now to get in control of your life, to become happier, to live an abundant life, to get out of the griping and the moaning and the complaining and the negativity that is just, it's eating away at you. Trust me, I've been there, and yes, you can change. So let me share with you 3 things, 3 skills. And actually, first, let me just point out one thing about a skill is that if you practice it enough, it becomes automatic. It goes from your conscious mind to your subconscious mind and just kind of kicks in. Think about when you're driving. Do you really even think about shifting anymore if you have a manual transmission? Or if you're parallel parking and you do that a lot, do you even really think about it? Or is it just this natural thing that you do because you've done it over and over and over again? That's what you want to do with these skills. You want to do them repeatedly so that you can just really kind of turn that part over on autopilot, because these are all positive traits that you want to have in your life. Again, we're talking about tactical beliefs that you can change, that you can have these skills, that you can be in charge of your life. So 3 skills. And the first one is to be grateful. Now, if you don't trust me, just do a little Google search, type in like gratitude and science and psychology, and see what comes up. And you will find study after study after study where they have discovered that if they can influence people to be more grateful, to have more gratitude in their life, their happiness levels skyrocket. They can have people come into a room and they can completely change their life just by having them practice a little gratitude test. For example, maybe they will have them call somebody on the phone that they love, that they haven't said thank you to before. And as they do that, like they'll test them to see what their gratitude levels are like, what their life, what do they call it? Their assessment of life, their happiness set point, where they think they are. And they can have them do an activity where they intentionally boost their gratitude levels, and it completely changes things. Now, I will point out one thing super important for you to know, and that is gratitude is recognizing you are the recipient of deliberate kindness. There's this exchange of love. Somebody has done something kind for you, whether it was through a thought, through a deed, whatever. They have done something kind for you, and you are the recipient of deliberate kindness. So if you want to boost your happiness levels, first thing you need to do is to be grateful. Now the second skill, or at least a second skill, is to be present. Be fully present. Be right here. We rarely live in the moment. We rarely live right here. We're always so focused on what's going to happen. We worry and fret and stress about that. Or maybe there was something horrible that happened in our past, and we obsess over this thing, and it has become our identity, and it limits us, and it makes us feel heavy and weighed down because something bad happened back there, and now I am a horrible person, or I am unkind, or I am a failure, or I am fat, or you can think of all these things that are things that happened in the past, and then we build our identity around it. Well, we never really live in the present. We never really get focused on who we are right now and what's going on right now and living in the moment. Meditation is a wonderful thing for really getting in the moment and recognizing that you have skills that will help you get there. And the more you practice it, the more you work on it, the more you're able to be fully here. You've been in conversations with people, right? Where you're talking to them and they're just kind of drifting off, or you can tell they're not right here with you. They're thinking about something else, or they're thinking about what they're going to say in retaliation or in retort to whatever you've said. They aren't right here in the moment, and rarely are we. But if you can practice that skill of being fully present, that's going to really help boost your happiness levels. So skill number 3 that I'm going to share with you is to be full of awe. I want you to be awful. I want you to just be full of this excitement of learning new things. How long has it been since you have learned something completely new? Have you ever tried to learn the violin or the piano? Have you ever tried to dribble a basketball between your legs? Have you ever tried to brush your teeth with your non-dominant hand? Have you ever driven somewhere that you've never gone before on the way to work and noticed things that you had never noticed before? Think about what little children are like. They are full of awe. They are discovering new things all the time. You can give them a paper bag or a brown box, and they are full of adventure on what that could be. If you will deliberately do things in your life that will challenge you, that will allow you to experience things fresh and new, that will change things in your life to where you are able to experience some of these emotions again, and you can be a happier person. I just want to share with you that where you're at right now, whatever is going on in your life outside of you is not as important as what's going on inside. It's these core stories we tell ourselves about who we are and about what we can do. And if you want to have some tactical beliefs, you can put some of these things into action and you could be a happier person. What are your thoughts? You've had time to think. Now it's time for you to share. In the comments section below, share your thoughts, ideas, and questions, especially any insights that inspired you to take action. Of course, the best place to take action is at scottwilhite.com, because if you join me for a free web class, I will reward you with a purpose planner so you can start each day with confidence, clarity, and conviction. Your identity is your most valuable possession. It's who you are, why you're here, and what you stand for. Choose your beliefs and pick your identity. It is choice, not chance, that determines your reality. See you next time.